Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining KICT Intellectual Talk Series First 2023 today. For our information, KICT is regularly conducting the KICT Intellectual Talk Series to promote our research works product produced by KICT Research Unit. Alhamdulillah, today we are blessed to have a speaker from KICT Research Unit 2, Pervasive Computing for Brain Development Group, PCBDG. And inshallah today we have audience in two different platforms, which is Zoom, and this session is streamlined in KICT Media YouTube channel. Before we start our session, let's recite Kitab Al-Fatiha. I'm Dr. Nurhafizah Mahri, your moderator for today's event. Before we start, there's some information pertaining to this webinar. First, please mute your microphone during the session. We will have 1 hour presentation from speaker, including Q&A. If you have any questions, just write them in the chat box area. You can ask questions during the presentation. And last but not least, don't forget to report the attendance. The attendance link can be found in the chat box area. First of all, Alhamdulillah, we have honored today to have Assistant Professor Dr. Asmarani Ahmad Puzi to give a talk on Integrated Quantitative Spasticity Muscle Characteristics Assessment and Adaptive Impedance Control in Rehabilitation. First of all, let me share a brief profile of our speaker, Dr. Asmarani Ahmad Puzi. Currently, an assistant professor at Department of Computer Science, Kuliah of ICT, International Islamic University, Malaysia. She received a degree and PhD in mechatronic engineering from IIUM. And before he pursued his degree, she was a software engineer in the semiconductor industry, absent precision syndrome Berhad for a few years. And her current research interests include biomedical signal processing, IoT, human system integration, and applied AI. Without any further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Asmarani to start the session. Please welcome Dr. Asmarani Ahmad Puzi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi all. Thank you so much, Dr. Nurhafizah, for the introductions. And once again, to the professor, professors, doctors, lecturer, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera. So inshallah, I'm very honored to be invited to this talk by the Dr. Azura. So this talk, I just want to share what I have done for my PhD 2 years back, and what are the potential research in the rehabilitation area, inshallah. So I will share my limited knowledge on the title, as you can see in my slide, Integrated Quantitative Spasticity Muscle Characteristic Assessment and Adaptive Impedance Control in Rehabilitations. I know the title much complicated with the medical terms and elements of medical parts, so I try to convey in the understandable way. Okay, inshallah. Right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so rehabilitation in Malaysia. Before we proceed deep into the deep content, so we want to know what is the rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is the process of helping people who have lost or impaired functions due to illness, injury, or disability regain or improve their functions. I know maybe your relative have experienced the impairment, right? Maybe your dad, your mom, right? So it can involve a variety of services, including physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and cognitive rehabilitations. So rehabilitations is important for people for all ages especially for the children and adults, the older adults. So children's because the children is still growing and developing, so rehabilitations can help them to reach their full potential. While for the older adults are more likely to experience chronic health condition and disabilities. So rehabilitation can help them to maintain or retain their independency and quality of life. So as for history, the rehabilitation in Malaysia was brought to Malaysia in the 1960s by the expertise. So the first physiotherapist department was established in Kuala Lumpur General Hospital. And the person with the disability is most likely to be involved in the rehabilitation. So what is the definitions of the persons with disability, PWD? So the Malaysia Disability Act 2008 defines person with disabilities as those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, which in interactions with various may hinder their full and effective participation in society. So there are 7 categories of disability in Malaysia. So the first one is the physical disability. So the physical disabilities is the person have limited movement. Okay, limited movement. For example, the stroke, the cerebral palsy, hearing. While for the hearing disability refers to deaf, learning difficulties such as dyslexia and ADHD, vision, whether the person for the vision, the person is totally blind or low vision. I'm not sure if the person with the spectacles considered as the PWD. I think not, right? So speech disability, for example, cleft lips and multiple disabilities, they own combinations of 2 or more disabilities. So we are not going through all the disability because my current research focus more on the physical disabilities. So nowadays, a lot of technology is invention in rehabilitation. As we can see on my slide, there are top 10 rehabilitation technology trends in 2023, as mentioned by the Start Us Insight. So the most popular technology trends is immersive technologies using the VR or AR, because this methodology is much more engaging with the patients. And the second place goes to the telehealth or telerehabilitations technology due to the time and cost saving, because can remotely monitoring the health progress. Whereby for the next technology in rehabilitations, we have advanced rehab, wearables, rehabilitations, robotics, as you can see in the pictures, personalized pre-rehab diagnostic, photo and electrotherapies, artificial intelligence technology, neurofeedbacks, as we have the NDL labs here, alhamdulillah, and vectoring technologies and the big data and analytics. So as these are the company that develop these rehabilitation technology, as you can see here. You can see more details on this website, Start Us Insights. So as we can see from the pictures here, yeah, this is the robot. Okay, this robot, namely robot ROBRT. So that can assist the bedridden patients for the rehabilitation treatments. Well, the second picture is HAL, HAL robot suits. They can assist the physical abilities to regain the abilities to walk again. So these both robots you can find at the Sotun Razak Rehabilitation Center, Melaka, Jalan Hang Tuah. So they are in a collaboration with the Cyberdyne Incorporation Japan, has successfully established the first neuro robotics rehabilitation and cybernetics center in Malaysia. The last picture here, as you can see here, the people's lying down, shows the tele-rehabilitation technology used to monitor the accuracy of the patient's position while doing the correct exercise. This is a very low cost and insightful development actually, right? So we go to the our main focus now. We get back to our main discussion, the technology used in rehabilitation on the therapy session. The most important things is the impact of the therapy, right? So how we gonna measure the effectiveness of the therapy to the patients? So actually, the measurement happens before the therapy begins. So the therapy will assess the affected limbs of the patient. So I will focus on the upper limbs only, on the upper hands. So the most common condition in rehab is spasticity. So what is the spasticity actually? I know most of you maybe haven't hear about this spasticity. So I will define what is the spasticity. In our body, we have a central nervous system. As you can see in this your left picture here, we have a CNS, brain and spinal cord. So we have a CNS system, which is central nervous system, that consists of brain, and spinal cord, as well as the peripheral nervous system that control the muscle movement, our muscle. So when there is a damage or disruption within the area of the brain and spinal cord, they will experience the spasticity. So the spasticity is a condition in which they end abnormal increase in muscle tone or stiffness of muscle. So they have the limited movement, so which might interfere with the movement and speech. So the patient facing the difficulties in practicing of daily living, such as eating, walking, or even driving. So the common causes of the spasticity, who is experiences the spasticity? The first is the stroke. This is the most common who experiences the spasticity. The second is TBI. TBI is the traumatic brain injury, whereby the patients had, for example, they had experience in the accidents, and the cerebral palsy. Therefore, they need to go to the hospital for regular therapies. So this picture tells us the conditions of spasticity looks like. All right. So this is my dad, my father's hand and leg. He got an accident 5 years back and fully bedridden until now. So 100% rely on the caregiver. So we need all the assistive technology to regain back the fullness of the functions. So what are the motivations of this research? Actually is the subjective clinical spasticity assessment. So in the clinical nowadays, they use the very subjective clinical spasticity assessment that they are based on the these two, as you can see in this table, it shows the modified Asher scale. So these therapies will refer to the tools or the tables here to assess the spasticity level of the patients. So it will vary. Different assessment between the therapies. It's not objective. So we come out. So the inconsistency in assessing the spasticity level. The second one is the number of neurological disorder patients keep increasing. Neurological disorders what I have mentioned just now, the TBI, the stroke, or the cerebral palsy, keep increasing as reported by the FINGIN in 2019. So the World Health Organization, did you know, the World Health Organization, WHO, estimates 10% to 15% of the country's populations would have a disability, which would translate to a minimum of 3.0 minimum disabled people in the populations of 31.7 million in Malaysia. So it's very huge numbers, and it will keep increasing. So the third motivation is a tedious training process by the therapists, whereby we have a limited therapies, physiotherapies in the clinics. So, but it's not mapped with the patient that has been increasing nowadays. So these are the data collection that we have in the Quantan. So we have come up with the invention, okay, because previously this Madam Narima had approached me, he asked to come up with the system that can be objective as assess the spasticity level of the patient. And we can show to the patients digitalization, because some patients, they are not trust with the subjective manner. They want to see in the digitalized. So maybe perhaps we have the apps for this one. So we are working on that. And we come up with the invention. Okay, this is the current clinical spasticity assessment, whereby this is subjective. Okay, this is a therapist. Okay, they just move the patient's hand. Okay, flexion. Okay, and extension. Flexion is like this one, flexion is like this one, extension is like this one. Okay, so during data collection setup, we have developed the system like this one. The patients will attach to the rest hand, and it will move by the lever from the system. So this is automated assessment and training setup. Okay, so all right, so it will automated that move the hand using the motor. Okay, so I just want to briefly introduce the automated MAS Spasticity assessment system, A-MSAS. We call it as the A-MSAS. This is a complete setup for the development equipment with the two sensors. The first sensor is the potentiometer to measure the angular position, and the torque sensor to measure the force that exerted by the patient's hand. And the lab view is used for the data collections or record the data from the sensors. So A-MSAS has the two setup. The first setup, as you can see in the picture, for the data collection, this setup actually for the data collection purpose, while for the automated assessment, we will replace by the BLDC motor here. We just detach this lever and replaced by the BLDC motor. So the lever will be replaced by the BLDC motor. So this methodology is taken in 5 phases. The first phase is the literature review. The second phase is the design. We design and develop the A-MSAS. And the third phase is to put the machine learnings inside the model into this system. So whereby we need the data collection, reliability test, and classifier development has done. And the fourth phase is the development of training regimen, where the adaptive control strategy was developed in simulation and real applications. And the final says the final report. So this is a participations recruitment. Okay, so for any research that involve the human body, if you touch the human body, this is the ethical clearance. So the general ethical clearance is from the NMRR. So I could not remember NMRR National registry. So I could not remember the middle words. So this, if you want to approach the patients in the government hospital, you need this NMRR. But it's most likely difficult to get that, so maybe it needs a longer durations to process to get the ethical. So we just go to our IUM hospital, which is SASMAC, Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center. So we got the ethics clearance from the IREC. IREC is the IUM Research Ethics Committee. So you can apply for the IREC if you intend to do the research in the SASMAC. Or any teaching hospital, they have their own ethical clearance. So you need to bear with their rules and regulations. So overall, for this, we have the data collections on the 34 neurological disorder patients and 5 able body for the control system, for the control groups, where the average age is the 40x plus minus 90.0x. And the clinical data collections venue, we got, because that time, Sultan Ahmad Shah Medical Center just opened up the service. So we have a limited patients there. So we go to the physiotherapy and rehabilitation clinic at Kuliah of Life of Science, IIM Kelantan, and also we approach National Stroke Association of Malaysia in Kuantan and also Pusat Pemulihan Dalam Komuniti, PDK, Kuantan also as well. So we got the gender, 31% of the females and 69% of male. And affected site, we have more or less significant value there. And types of the disorder, we have stroke, cerebral palsy, and TBI, traumatic brain injury, and able body. So these are the frequency of the patient participants regarding of the MAS level. So as you can see here, the MAS level 1+ and 2 is the most highest participate in this research. The list is from the group MAS level 3 and 4 because as the MAS level increase, the severity of the spasticity also increase. So we had difficulties to find the severe patient because they are not likely to go to the rehab center. They just lying down at their home, so they have the difficulties or the mobility to get access to the rehab center. All right, so these are comparison of signals according to the MAS score. Okay, we have MAS 0, 1, 1+, 2, 3, and 4, but because the MAS 3 and 4, we just abolish that one, the MAS score. We just go focus on the MAS 0, MAS 1, MAS 1+, and MAS 2. So these are the signals. We already clean the signals and do some of the processing, signal processing. I'm not mentioning here, maybe the other lecture. All right, so for the MAS 0, as you can see here, you just focus on the red line, okay? Because the red line is the fast movement. Okay, we have 2 steps. Okay, fast movement and the slow movement. Slow movement, we just want to know until when the hands can be the highest range of motion. Okay, so in the fastest we got the catch because the spasticity is related to the velocity, the speed. So once you want to catch the spasticity, you need to move it a little fast. It's like this one. Okay, so as you can see these are the difference, okay, between the MAS 0, MAS 1, MAS 1+, and MAS 2. All right, as you can see here, these are the moment or the force sensor. So most force sensor that record the data of the force exerted by the patients. So as you can see, MAS 1 is more highest at the end of the range motion. Okay, this is the position, right? For the MAS 1+ is a light high top here. Okay, at the middle, and for the MAS 2 at the beginning. Okay, at the beginning of the range of motion of the movement. So we also had done the reliability test. Okay, because we want to evaluate the consistency. So this is the main objective, right? Evaluate the consistency of the measurement. So reliability test was conducted in order to discover the consistency of the MAS scoring. So inter-rater, so as you can see, inter-rater is the degree of agreement among raters, between 2 raters. However, for the intra-rater is the degree of agreement among repeated measures by the single rater. So this is between the raters, between the therapies, and the intra-rater is the between the from the single therapy. So as you can see here, 0.81 for the clinical method, while 0.98 kappa value for the A-MSAS method, which is higher than the clinical. So which means that there is a high consistency using the our system. So intra-rater test yield excellent result for both methods, okay, whereby 0.95 for the clinical and 0.98 for the A-MSAS system. Okay, so figure 5. So as you can see here, figure 5 showed the distributions of the rating scale of clinical method. As we notice that there there is a inconsistency here of MAS scoring among raters and retest compared to this is a MSAS method. So as you can see here, these are very well consistent lah. Okay. So next we had done the statistical analysis using the SPSS. We used the Kruskal-Wallis hash test was deployed to provide the significant features. So we need to find what are the features for the classification of machine learning model. So we come out with the potential, all the potential features extractions, and we do the Kruskal-Wallis hash test to provide the significant features that contribute most to predict the MAS score by reducing the number of features. Okay, so that it can reduce the processing time. However, the features in this study, which was extracted from the clinical data measurement, null hypothesis says that, as you can see here, null hypothesis all rejected. Why? Because null hypothesis says that there is no significant difference between specified populations. In this case, it's spasticity level. So this null hypothesis means that there are significant difference. So we can use all these biometric parameters inside to develop the machine learning model. Okay, so we use all the biometric parameter because it gives these significant values for the model. So we had test different classifier, several classifier algorithms, and KN performed the better accuracy. So the classifier tested on different types of classifier, right? So leave one out technique was used in training and classification model as only the small sample size was presented. That's why we used the leave one out, because we got just not many data sets. So from the bar graph, it can be seen KNN provides the highest classifier. So in order to investigate the performance of the KNN, we go deeply to evaluate the KNN classifier. So we got the different train and test ratio. So the first data set one with the train 90% and test 10% gave the greatest accuracy. And also with the KNN, we have the k-neighbors value with the numbers 3, it provide the highest model. So these are the highest model that we get. All right, so that part is the assessment. Okay, that part is the assessment of the spasticity level. Now we go to the adaptive impedance control. Okay, what is the adaptive impedance control? Okay, after assessment is done, we go to the training, right? Training or regular training. So we need the adaptive impedance control. Typically is the feedback loop to measure the interaction forces between the robot and the environment. So the robot is this system and the environment is the patient's arm. Okay, so this feedback, so we have the control loop. This feedback is then used to adjust the robot impedance. So we are trying to develop the robot that mimic the physiotherapist's hand, so that it not harm the what we call the patient. Okay, so all right, so robot control, this is the robot controls that allows the robot to adjust its impedance. So this is the impedance interaction. We have a stiffness, damping, and inertia in response to the environment. This is useful for tasks where the robots need to interact with the environment in a safe and compliance manner. All right, so yeah, as you can see here, in our muscle, we have the MAS. It looks like with the MAS spring damper, or if in the musculature system, we call it as the impedance. Okay, so this is example analogy of the example MAS spring damper system. So as you can see here, these are the door without the damper. If you want to know what is the functions of the MAS, what is the spring, what is the damper? So MAS is the weight. So the door is the MAS itself. The door is the MAS itself, and the spring is the hinge at the top of the at the top of the door, it will close back, right? The door. But this is the door owned by the Dr. Ili. So the door, her door is is not working. All right. So it's like this one. It will slammed. Okay, it will slam off the door. While for my doors, we have a MAS spring damper. Okay, the damper actually functions to stop the door. Okay, so as we can see the example in these two different door, same analogy goes to our muscles. When you move your arm, the muscle contract and compress the spring. So inside your muscle, you have a springs. When you release your muscle, the spring expand and move your arm back to its original position. And the damper slows down the motion of the arm so that it doesn't move too quickly. Subhanallah, Allah precious, the most beautiful, right? Okay, so we go to, this is the model. I'm not going through the models of the adaptive impedance. I just want to highlight that here. Here is where the integrations of the quantitative muscle spasticity and adaptive impedance control takes place. So the MAS level, we go to the discrete or hybrid automata. Okay, and then it will goes to the position-based impedance control. This is the beyond KICT area, because these are mechanical parts of the system. So we adjust the MAS, damper and spring. Okay, B is for the damper, case for the spring, for the position-based impedance control. So we have a model simulate using the MATLAB simulating and the real model on the system. Okay, we adjust. So that's why we call it as the adaptive impedance control. Okay, this is a MATLAB simulating and real application. So inside this one, we have hybrid automata, we have the trajectory planner here, and also for the real applications, it connected to the computer and also the electrical circuits. All right, so this is a hybrid automata. From the one state to another state. Okay, it will adaptive with the environment, which is the patient's with the patient's arm. Okay, patient's exerted force here. So it will goes from one state to another state. I'm not going to here. Okay, I just want to show the study case for this research. Okay, for the first case is a training sequence for MAS 0. Okay, MAS 0 is like the able body for the healthy, like us. So you can move in the full range of motion. Okay, as you can see here, we have the angular position. This is a simulation. Okay, this is simulation for the angular velocity. This simulation for the angular position. This is a velocity for the experimental, and this position for the experimental. Okay, as you can see here, this is the real signals from the system in the red lines. Okay, so as you can see, from the angular velocity, it's just nicely follow the trajectory. Okay, there is no movement at all. Not a movement. There is no what we call move out from the desired trajectory. It's so nice. Okay, for the MAS 0. But when for the second case study is the training sequence for MAS 1+. Okay, as you can see here, for the MAS 1+, there are spastic or jerking at the end of the range motion. Okay, range motion is like this one. There is a jerking. As you can see here, this is a position, right? At the end, achieving the end of the position, there is a slightly compliance here. Okay, compliance, as you can see in the red colors of the graph. Okay, so this is simulation. This simulation is just before we deploy on the real applications. We need to do the simulation first. whether is it true or not, or whether it's working or not. All right. So next we go to the experimental. Okay, the first from 0, this is a degree, okay, position. From 0 approaching, there is a at point A, right? Point A is likely decrease the speed. Okay, decrease the speed. Why? Because they are environmental or force exerted by the patients. So the robots or the platform trying to mimic the physiotherapist's hand, so it will slow down because there is a spastic, right, at that particular place, so particular position. So it will slow down, and then the catch, after it reach the catch, the speed will be move faster. So that's why the speed move much faster after the catch happen at the point B. Okay, so we fulfill the objective here to develop the adaptive impedance control based on the spasticity level assessment quantitatively. Okay, so this is experiment analysis. We have a MAS, as you can see here, this is the what MSE, meaning that mean square error. So mean square error for both position and velocity. The smaller percentage means there is small error between the simulation and real experiment. So we, alhamdulillah, we successfully achieve the objective with a small error. Okay, this is an ongoing research. We, alhamdulillah, we secured the grant to continue this research. So we developed the new system. We enhancing the current system, whereby we put we want the system which is portable, low cost sensor, because I thought sensor is I think much more higher than compared to the MMG sensor. And also we want to we developing the apps that connected to the system with the IoT. So these are the new system. Okay, new system is very portable for the assessing, but this system is without the motor, because we just focus on the assessment only. So at this particular time, we use the MMG sensor. MMG sensor is a very low cost, and it measured the vibrations of the muscle. This time we are not measuring the torque, but we are measuring the vibration of the muscle, the tricep and the biceps. So we use the laptop, and also it connected through the computer using the Arduino Uno, and also the potentiometer. Potentiometer is to measure the angular position. All right. So the student is still in the SASMAC right now, already 3 weeks for the data collections. So hopefully he was successful with the data collections. So these are the patients. They are very nice. Okay, they are very nice and helpful. They give the full cooperation for us. Okay, to do the data collections. Okay, we go to the conclusions. Can we go to the conclusions? All right. So quantitative assessment of the spasticity plays a vital role in the selections of effective training strategies, as I mentioned before. And the small contributions from the researcher can lead to the big or significant impact on society. So I hope that research level is not enough to help the doctors and therapists in encountering the increasing number of patients. So that I hope we can do the implementations level must come later to get the real impact on the community. So we can try working together to get this successful. And I just want to recite one surah, Quran surah Intifar ayat 7, means okay, I will recite first. Alladhi khalaqaka fasawwaka fa'adalak, means Allah masterpiece who created you, proportioned you, and balanced you. Despite the sophistication of the technology we created, Allah creations is the most perfect and undoubtful. So keep in mind, our research is not replace the human rather than assist them. So hopefully our research can benefit to the society, inshallah. So I think that's all from me. Get back to our MCs, Dr. Nurhafizah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Asmarani, for interesting and fruitful information in this sharing session. So I open the floors for Q&A session. You can just type in the text box, or you can just turn on your mic for any questions or any point that you'd like to share with us.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Siapa tu?
Tak ada orang tanya saya nak tanyalah.
Tanyalah.
Dr. Asmarani.
Ya, Prof Wahab.
Hey, some of the work that you were doing, like the one to measure apa ni? The movement kan?
Yes.
Since it is quite consistent, have you got any suspect is using it right now?
Not yet, because the previous system is not ongoing. Develop the new one here with the portability.
But even in the old sensor, again, it is still good enough and better than is consistent. Kan?
Yeah.
They still doesn't want to use it.
Yeah, because we got the feedback from the physiotherapists actually. They want us to help them with all the technologies that we have or the expertise. But yeah, for sure we have from the international, from not outside the Malaysian, there are several robots or several platforms that already already in the dijual lah kan, but they have no money to invest to this kind of the platform. So they want us to come up with the very low cost system that can help them. So that's why I come up with the low cost sensor here.
I see. So they want something lower cost,
Yes, lower cost.
I thought Susmed got a lot of money.
They already invest a lot, but now they have stopped that.
Okay. Okay. But it's a very good research, I think.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? Right, I have one question since so we are in this talk. Because that is a very interesting work for a PhD, the robot arms and so on. Is there any possibilities already challenge that to convert it to more simplified way so that it can become end user product? So it can bring it home, train at home, become like automated therapeutic device.
So actually, this is a very convenience. So they can buy. I think the cost is not much. The cost is just below 200. If we are successful with the development of the smart with IoT, we are developing the apps, right? So they just can use their mobile to capture all the signals or capture the result of the assessment.
All right, so it's more promising that way. Thank you very much, Dr.
Asmarani. We try to come up with the very low cost, and also the portability is the main issues right now, right? So, because the robot is very large and so on and so forth, so we try to get the very minimal design.
All right. Okay, Alhamdulillah, great, Dr. Asmarani. I wish you all the best in this research. Inshallah, we're looking forward to have you again in the future, maybe perhaps with the this new brand of this therapeutic device for spasticity. And I think we are about to end the session now. Thank you very much to the organizer. And thank you very much to all the audience for coming. And thank you very much, Dr. Asmarani, for the sharings. And of course, we would like to, and last but not least, okay, the ITD Zone 6 for making this webinar successful to all of us. And thank you very much for everyone for participating in this webinar. So we hope to see each other again in the next ICT Intellectual Talk session, inshallah. Let's all of us end this session with Tasbih Kifarah and Suratul Asr.
Thank you, everyone.
Us.
Yes.
Group
Group photo.
Group photo, all
photo.
right. Okay, so let's have a photo session first before we end. We actually end this session. Okay, you might turn on your camera.
Semua kena. Sekarang kita orang 17. Semua kena. Fuh,
Nah, jap. Kamera tak pasang.
Tano dah kat lenggeng kan CSR tu. With the red band.
Kamera tak pasang.
Mana yang lain?
Kamera tak pasang jap.
Kamera saya ke? Oh lah. Dah.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Kejap ada lagi tu. Ilin.
Tak pasang kamera jap. Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Ya.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Alright, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.